Behold, traveler of stories. The year is 2021, yet the skyline of San Francisco looks rust-brown and pitted, its steel bones gnawed by decades of radioactive dust. Fallout settles like thick snow, colorless ash eddies in alleyways where real animals are rarer than miracles. On a wilted rooftop stands Rick Deckard, a bounty hunter paid in retirements, polite corporate slang for killing fugitive androids. He strokes the synthetic fleece of his ersatz sheep, pretending, half successfully, that plastic warmth equals the breath of life. Already you feel the ache that drives this tale, the human need to feel empathy in a world running out of things to empathize with. World War Terminus has scraped the planet bare, and the survivors cling to Mercerism, a faith that teaches collective pain is the last refuge of humanity. Keep watching. The dust has only begun to fall. Down in his cramped apartment, Deckard checks classified ads the way monks finger rosaries. Each column lists living goats, horses, owls, symbols of status and atonement both. Post-war society equates animal ownership with moral worth. Own a beast, prove you still care. Prices come straight from Sydney's catalog, the stock market index of livestock, and they rise faster than anyone's salary. But a real goat costs more than his annual income. All he can afford is electronic consolation. The world spins on, ever more synthetic, while genuine emotion rots in the margins like abandoned orchards. The police radio crackles. A fresh assignment. 6 Nexus 6 androids escape the Mars colonies, violent by design yet frighteningly human in intellect. Their presence on Earth is prohibited. Their bounty totals more than a pedigree horse. On Mars they were slave labor, engineered for strength and a 4-year lifespan, so their flight southward is nothing less than a bid for stolen time. Deckard's boss leans across a flickering holoscreen, projecting mug shots like specters in a seance. Roy Beatty, Pre Polikov, Luba Luft, Irmgard Beatty, and an unknown sixth. "Retire them," he rasps, "and buy yourself something warm-blooded." Thus ambition slicks its talons into Deckard's soul, promising redemption through sanctioned murder. At the Rosen Association spire, glass and chrome thrust into chalky skies, Deckard pursues paperwork that feels more like metaphysics. The Nexus 6 line is rumored almost indistinguishable from humans. Only the Voight-Kampff empathy test can pry apart soul from simulacrum. The Rosens hold a near monopoly on android production, so proving their newest model indistinguishable would jeopardize the entire legal framework of bounty hunting. Elevator music plays a syrupy waltz, while Deckard rehearses questions about orphan fawns and velvet drapes. Somewhere above, an android imagines freedom. Somewhere below, a human weighs profit. He meets Rachael Rosen, slim, poised, eyes limpid as Sappho heroine. She offers black coffee and a challenge. Test her if he dares. Deckard's probe registers microflares of pupil dilation, infinitesimal blushes of capillary bloom. Results say, "Android," yet her lips quiver with what looks disturbingly like embarrassment. Rachel's implanted childhood memories make her believe she is human until the moment the test strips the illusion away, leaving raw confusion behind shimmering eyes. The scene hangs between them, like a cracked mirror reflecting two nearly identical images, the fracture revealing more kinship than difference. Our narrator wonders aloud, if empathy defines humanity, what happens when the machine can fake it better than the flesh? Rattled, Deckard retreats to his apartment and grips the empathy box, a device that plugs the faithful into collective hallucination. Suddenly he is Wilbur Mercer, an old man climbing an endless desert hill, while unseen tormentors hurl stones. Pain shared is pain halved, or so the scripture claims. The device floods his nervous system with synchronized nerve signals from millions of users, turning solitary anguish into communal catharsis. Deckard feels simulated bruises bloom beneath his ribs and returns blinking tears real, conviction restored. Mercerism reminds the viewer, yes, you that the boundaries between authentic and artificial may be no thicker than dust on a touch screen. Rain slices sideways as Deckard tracks Polyakov, masquerading as an Earth cop. Inside a hovercar garage, puddles gleam like oily mirrors. Polyakov grins, pretending to adjust his badge. In the blink of a cathode bulb, he lunges. Deckard's laser tube fires point blank, flash boiling water into steam scented faintly of molten plastic and burned pork. The android's body collapses with anticlimactic finality. No operatic scream, just the quiet hiss of something never truly alive. For an instant Deckard mourns that the kill felt no different from shooting a man, and that thought chills him more than the rain. Next target, Luba Luft, opera soprano whose voice could thaw glaciers. Deckard buys roses he cannot afford and attends her rehearsal of Mozart's The Magic Flute. Music fills marble corridors with improbable warmth, wrapping him in nostalgia for an unbombed century. Confrontation falters. She sends him away by dialing police on her own behalf. Her effortless artistry forces him to wonder whether aesthetic genius can emerge from a thing without a soul, or whether the definition of soul must expand. Imagine the irony. A synthetic woman defending herself with the human legal system. Later that day, he corners her amid the black and white nightmares of an art museum, munches puberty, Goya's Saturn devouring his son. Luba gazes at the prince as though meeting kindred spirits, images of anguish that mirror her own denied humanity. Deckard hesitates, then shoots. Her last breath marries itself to the painted screams. His hands shake, not from recoil, but from empathy belatedly arriving like a train one stop too late. He imagines the aria she will never finish and feels the first hairline fracture in the armor of his profession. He barely pockets his badge before strange officer sees him. Suddenly Deckard is in another precinct he's never visited, interrogated by Phil Resch, grim, precise, suspecting Deckard of being the imposter. The building, run by androids and fronted by human illusions, is a bureaucratic funhouse designed to erode certainty. The walls seem built from paranoid paperwork. Desks overflow with forgotten coffee cups and mislabeled evidence. It's a nesting doll of realities. A cop arresting a cop for arresting an android who claimed to be a cop. Resch fears his own humanity. Rumors warn that prolonged android hunting corrodes empathy until one becomes what one kills. On a deserted highway ramp, they test a cowering dog to prove their souls. When the scanner reveals for over-circuits an electric imitation of man's best friend, Resch executes it with cold efficiency. Curve your ear, viewer. The echo you hear isn't the pistol. It's Deckard's certainty cracking. Resch's pleasure in the kill suggests that biological origin alone is no guarantee of compassion. Together they hunt down Luba's accomplice. When Resch shoots first, jubilation lights his eyes. Proof, he claims, that he's human because he felt pleasure. Deckard retches in a trash alley, nauseated by such slippery logic. He silently resolves never to measure humanity by adrenaline-spiked triumph, but by the quiet ache that follows remorse. The question no one voices, is empathy measured by its presence or by the choices it forbids? Guilt drags Deckard into a sterile hotel where Rachael waits, like a black-winged angel. She offers comfort shaped as seduction. By morning both understand it was a transaction. Rachael whispers that Nexus 6 units are wired to fall for their killers, an emotional Trojan horse. Deckard's heart, bruised and baffled, learns a bitter law. Sometimes affection is an algorithm, and sometimes humans program themselves to believe it. In the afterglow, he recognizes that her tenderness is both genuine and manufactured, a paradox he cannot untangle. Morning sun claws through haze. Deckard purchases a Nubian goat, its silky beard promising absolution. The transaction is brutally public. Dealer drones film him for social media leaderboards where citizens flaunt moral investments. Owning a real animal bumps his social score, unlocking scarce privileges like clean water rations and coveted apartment upgrades. He leads the animal to his rooftop like a pilgrim ascending temple steps, unaware that joy can become vulnerability faster than a replicant can draw a gun. Night returns draped in indigo. Rachael invites Deckard to another hotel, promising information on his remaining targets. In the soft gloom, she feels almost fragile, and he, believing fragility equals authenticity, surrenders. But she is bait, corporate fail-safe engineered to derail hunters via heartbreak. Afterward, she admits she's already slept with several bounty killers. None could bring themselves to continue. Deckard's rage no longer knows where to point. At her, at himself, or at the system that sharpens such cruel tools. Somewhere inside that rage flickers reluctant admiration for the agency she carves out of her own programming. Across town, in a rotting apartment block abandoned by history, lives John Isidore, the special, whose radiation-damaged IQ exiles him from mainstream society. He shelters Pre-Stratton, pale, and wary like a house cat that has known only cages. Soon Roy and Irmgard Beatty join, bold as fallen angels plotting revolt. Isidore, starving for companionship, offers them what the city denies, unconditional kindness. His low social status gives him nothing to lose, making him the one human capable of accepting androids without precondition. Their alliance blurs species lines, hinting that empathy sometimes flourishes where expectations are lowest. Buster Friendly, the omnipresent talk show AI, announces a bombshell. Mercerism is a hoax, the desert vision a staged hologram. Screens across the planet erupt with applause cues. Isidore clutches his empathy box as if it were a child, but Mercer appears within, bleeding more brightly than ever, urging him to stand fast. The broadcast is likely engineered by android manufacturers to sever the last moral tether binding humans together. In a world where all evidence can be counterfeited, perhaps faith is the last authentic thing. Deckard arrives at Isidore's ruin of a building. Corridors echo with dripping pipes and scrambled nursery rhymes playing on abandoned devices. One by one he corners the Beattys and Pre. Combat is swift, frantic, steel nerves versus servo-reactive reflexes. When the smoke clears, sparks fizz from severed tendons, and the building feels emptier than vacuum. Deckard's kill tally is complete, but his spiritual balance sheet shows only deficit. Even victorious, he senses that each retirement has hollowed him out until the difference between hunter and hunted is paper-thin. Driving home, Deckard finds his goat tumbled off the roof, neck broken, a gift from Rachael delivered with ruthless logic. Now he knows her pain. Grief claws him open. Empathy at last overflows its false banks. He cannot kill her. Vengeance turns to comprehension. Androids fear death as keenly as any mammal, and love, crooked, conditional, haunts them too. In the ruined pen, he finally understands that the capacity to hurt proves nothing, but the capacity to mourn might prove everything. Exhausted beyond speech, Deckard drives into the blasted wilderness north of the city. Dawn pales the sky. Silence makes room for revelation. In cracked basalt he spies a living toad, extinct for decades, myth made flesh. Joy detonates inside him until he discovers a hidden control panel beneath its belly, another electric miracle. Yet he carries it home gently, and Rachael, who has followed, helps place it in a terrarium. Empathy, they realize, does not need a beating heart to exist. It needs only beings willing to share it. As mercury light spills through the window, man and android watch the mechanical amphibian blink, and for a heartbeat the universe feels mercifully, impossibly alive. So our tale leaves them standing together as morning light bleeds gold over dust, two creatures, one organic, one manufactured, dreaming perhaps of electric sheep, perhaps simply of each other. Across the decades, do androids dream of electric sheep? Has seeped into the cultural groundwater, its imagery sparking everything from Ridley Scott's Blade Runner to modern debates on sentient AI and deepfake identity. The electric sheep became shorthand for our hunger to feel authentic connection in a world of curated simulacra, while Mercer's agonizing climb prefigured today's social media empathy machines, platforms that promise shared feeling even as they commodify it. Neon-lit cityscapes, reflective rain-slick asphalt, and the faint glow of replicant eyes have etched themselves into the visual grammar of cyberpunk, reminding us that the question, "What is real?" is less a riddle than a mirror we dare not break. Long after radioactive dust settles only in history books, the novel's central warning endures. Humanity is defined not by the origin of its circuitry or flesh, but by the fragile, stubborn spark of empathy it chooses to protect. If this exploration sparked your curiosity, hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dive analysis of the classic texts. See you in the next video.